else is like, sun summoner, woo.
Like, you used to come to me.
When you were stressed out, you used to let me some things with you.
I think they really wanted you to like him. Like, but I was a little torn. I was like, just wait. We're gonna get some stuff revealed. Doctor guy brought a goat.
She reminds me of like a ninja.
Welcome to Wolf Sister Reviews.
We are the Wolf Sisters.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Minnie. And on our channel, we review the most popular and watched TV shows and movies.
So here we go. Let's get started. Today we are reviewing season 1 of Shadow and Bone. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's a Netflix original.
There's only 8 episodes, so it's a shorter one-seasoner. Easy to get through like in a weekend.
Yeah,
for sure.
Very much so. So kind of the overview on this, it's basically a story about a mapmaker, young girl, her name is Alina, and she finds out that she's a Grisha. She has the power of light, and it turns out that she is, from all these folklore stories that they kind of position in the beginning of the film, she is that person. She's the savior, so to speak, for the world, essentially. So that's, in a nutshell, that is the storyline overview of what to expect when watching this film.
Maybe we start out with the worst this time.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Maybe we start out with what we really
shake it up a little.
Didn't like. It was your least favorite character.
I actually didn't have a least favorite. There were people that I didn't like, and I think that it was meant to, like, their character was meant to portray a not likable person.
Okay.
So like Zoya, I didn't understand her. I didn't get why she was being the way she was. I think she's the wind.
The one that's good with the knives?
No, that's Inej.
Okay.
So Zoya is a Grisha. For the first part of it, I was like, why is she so against her? That doesn't make any sense to me. Because she would want the savior, so to speak. Because everybody else does. Everybody else is like, sun summoner, woo! And she is like, no, you're not special.
Until you saw
until you
her
saw
little interaction with Alexander, and she was like, all like, you used to come to me.
Come to me when you were stressed out, you used to let me some things with you. So I was like, oh, okay. So
that's why you're pissed, because he is really interested in who the sun summoner is.
Yeah.
And you want all of his attention.
Basically lost her boyfriend.
So she was your least favorite. Well, when I was thinking of least favorite, I was not thinking of her. She wasn't even in my mind because I just didn't even take note of her enough to not like her.
Yeah.
I did not like Alexander, but I think like she, Minnie said, we were meant to not like him because that's how his character was written. However, in the beginning, I think they really wanted you to like him. But I was a little torn. I was like, just wait. We're gonna get some stuff revealed.
Yeah.
And he's not who we think he is.
See, and the whole time I'm watching this, from the very beginning, I was getting really strong Hunger Game vibes. Of like, she didn't necessarily, I offer myself as tribute, like she didn't do that, but like, they find that out and they're like, oh, you're ours now. And they basically take her from the situation she's in, and she doesn't want to go, but she has to go.
That leads me into the whole plot problem with this entire series. I didn't understand what was going on. They didn't give us enough information to really figure that out.
No, they didn't.
I mean, why was there a war going on? And who are Grisha? What is a Grisha? They didn't answer enough questions.
Right.
And that's to be expected when you see the first episode of a show. They're like building it up, they're showing you what's up. They're gonna have a lot of questions. But even as I watched episode 2 and 3 and 4, I still was like, what's a Grisha?
Yeah.
What's this war about? And what's the span of the world? Like, they're making it look like the world consisted of a very small circle and the shadow was blocking down the center, and we had just one group of people here and one group of people here.
Yeah, so there's Ravka on one side and Ketterdown on the other side.
And so I was just like, I have a lot of questions. And the only thing that really held my attention was Alina and Mal's relationship, their connection. I wasn't sure if they were trying to tell us it was a romantic relationship or like more familial.
When I was watching it, I was like, okay, is that a brother, best friend, boyfriend? What is that? What is their relationship?
Yes.
And then as you watch it, you're like, oh, they're best friends. But then you like keep watching, you're like, wait,
There's
best
more
friends
here.
don't act like that. Like they do to a certain extent, but then like the way that they, you know, still lovingly glances and things like that, and like they're so like, I will always find you. I'm like, you don't say that to a best friend, like you just don't. But neither of them seem to be very open with each other about the fact that they love
their
each
feelings.
other.
Yeah, about those feelings. Like they'll talk about anything else and been through whatever, but
maybe it was like that because of the time, right? She understood she was a shoe, so that apparently
again, don't understand why that mattered.
Yeah, so shoe, in my perspective, is basically like an outsider kind of culture or kind of skin color, so to speak, because that's the way that they treat her.
Well, but
with
they
anybody,
were calling her a shoe from just looking at her. So,
so
it
she
had
had
something to do with her
characteristics.
just looking at her.
Yeah, so
her
like
physical appearance.
Yeah, physical. They could tell that she was that type of person, but she was basically, what's the right word? Segregated from the rest of everybody.
Yeah, she was the minority.
And it was like, is she like the only shoe in the existence of the world? Because nobody else in the whole show gets treated that way. So I'm like, what's going on? Why is she being so like put out against everybody else? And then to find out that she is the sun summoner, and I'm like, oh great, just add some more things to her plate that she can't handle, because people didn't like her before as just like a normal person that's just of a different ethnicity, but now she's got the sun summoner, and certain people that don't believe in the religion or that the Grisha, so to speak, they think poorly of Grisha. Now she's got that added on top of her being Shu, and I'm like, that's not fair. That's rude.
That's what I want to know is Grisha, were they drafted purposely, or were they just moved around as slaves and used as it was seen fit?
Right.
Because it was hard to tell if Grisha were just born without rights and born without any opportunity and they were meant to be slaves, or if like it depended on if your power was cool, if you got to go and live with a certain group of people. Like there was just a lot of gaps. Like
Right.
If it didn't have enough to kind of keep my attention, I still have a lot of questions. I still am like...
So after I watched it, I still had a lot of questions as well. And I was like, I'm going to go look it up because I just I want to know a little bit about it, because they are based off of books.
For all of those watching who don't know what a Grisha is basically like a fae or a supernatural being.
Magical creature. Or someone
all those other terms we've heard a zillion, a thousand times. But
it's someone that can control a certain element or...
So they have magical powers of some kind.
Yeah. So when I was actually researching it, it says that there are different categories within the Grisha. These people can manipulate earth, water, wind, fire. And then the other people can manipulate metals and things like that. So there are different things that each person can control or manipulate to use against someone else in a combat style. But they can also, they're not just used for bad. They're not just used for war. They're used for other purposes, such as when they enter the fold, there's women with the fire, the capability of controlling fire. The one with the wind, she's the one that helps the boat sail. So like they're used outside of combat necessities, but I did look into that and I was like, okay, well, why didn't they explain that in the show? Like that would have been a very nice piece of information for me, because I was wondering, I was trying to figure out what a Grisha was. And I mean, from watching other Harry Potters, Lord of the Rings, like other stuff where there's magical beings and magical creatures and things, you kind of can accept and adapt to the concept. But it took a long time.
It took a really long time.
I wish there was something that would have helped explain that part of the story.
Yes, it took almost the entire season.
Right. Well,
just to understand.
And on top of that, there were the two storylines. And I was like, okay, I can understand this storyline and this storyline, great. Then they threw in a third storyline for the Nina and the Druskella, Matthias, like that love story. They just suddenly threw that in there, and I was like, wait a minute, like where is this gonna come to fruition?
So, to not go on forever, there was a lot of gaps, and we need a lot more information.
The favorite stuff. So, who is your favorite person or people?
Oh, okay. My favorite characters was Jesper. Took me a long time to figure out that it was actually Jesper, not Jasper, because I swear to God they say Jasper all the time. I love Jesper so much. And I love Alina and Mal. I really like the main characters, but Jesper is my guy. Episode 3, when they're going through the fold, okay? And the conductor guy brought a goat.
Yeah.
Jesper and this goat were the cutest thing I've seen all summer. Like, and Jesper's like, what's the goat for? And the conductor's like, he's for you. And Jesper's like, what? And then all of a sudden you notice Jesper's like, oh, hello. And he's talking to him like a little kitty cat. And all of a sudden, like, him and this goat are like best friends. And I'm like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I love that the conductor was like this, somehow a genius, and like realized at the time that they contracted him for this job, he's like, I'll need this and this and this and a goat. Yeah. Like, he just knew at that time, just by looking at Jesper, that I'm gonna need a goat.
Well, and see, I didn't know if that was what he meant, like if he knew that Jesper needed it, or if that is like routine for, like, there's always one person that freaks out.
Okay.
So he's getting the goat for that one person that needs a little bit of coddling on the ride. So
I just love that it was a goat.
Yeah, I thought for sure the goat was gonna be like, here, take this, if they started to get attacked.
Oh.
So,
okay.
Kind of like here's a
distraction.
sacrifice. Take the goat, not me. So that's what I thought it was going to be for.
Oh, but
I didn't know that it was for, like, helping people cope with the fact that there's scary stuff on the outside of the big old train thing.
Yes. Well, but that's just kind of, that's just one of the moments. But Jesper, because I liked him up until that moment, and then that moment I was really like, oh my God, I love him so much. He was working with that other guy and that woman, I forget their names.
Kaz and Inej.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you couldn't quite tell whose side they were on, if they were good guys, bad guys.
Right, yeah.
Whose side they were playing for, and I was like, I really like Jesper so far though, but I really like, I need to understand more to really know if I like, I really feel for his character, like if I really want to be on his side or not. And he loves the goat, and so now him and the goat were like a big thing for me, and I just wanted to see him be with that goat.
That's a love story.
He's
that nobody knew was coming.
I know, right? He's just like your typical, I mean, or at least in this show, he was a gunslinger.
Yeah.
But he was, aside from that, he was the typical, like, con artist of the bunch. Like, he was the one that was, like, just charming, could talk people into doing things. And
he could charm his way out of a box.
Yeah. But his specialties was, like, the gunslinging and then ultimately I thought he was gay, but you didn't really learn he was gay till much later.
See, I'm still not sure. Like,
I'm still not sure
he's
full
gay, or is he bi?
Or yeah, I'm really not sure on his sexuality, like
Me neither, but
how fluid that is for him. But I was curious, and then when I saw that he liked the guys, I was like, okay, you know, and that just made me love him even more. So
yeah,
he is definitely my favorite character.
Yeah. So
how about you? Who's your favorite?
I had 2 favorites. So Jesper was my first.
Oh, really? Jesper? You like Jesper too?
Yep. And then Inej was my second. So
Inej,
I liked
she's
the assassin girl.
Okay, yes, the assassin.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I call her. I don't know if she's actually an assassin.
I like her a lot. Sorry,
right.
You go on.
So the reason I like Jesper is for a lot of the same reasons that you said, but I like that he brought that the humor level to the playing field.
It was the comic relief.
Right, and so I really like that about him. Plus, he's super cute.
He is.
Like, in his own way, right?
Especially
like
with the goat. I mean,
right. I mean, the goat is where it was like, oh, he's so, he has such a tender side.
Yeah,
you know?
like, he's so really loving and stuff.
So, since we already went into Jesper, I'll go into Inej a little bit. So, she worked for a brothel, but I don't know that she was necessarily a prostitute. She doesn't seem like the type, but again,
they're not clear on if
they don't
Grisha are slaves or free to do what they choose, but she definitely was like contracted to the brothel somehow to do their bidding.
Yes. So she is literally an indentured servant to this particular brothel. Well, Kaz buys her contract and basically is making monthly, weekly, I don't know, kind of payments to buy Inej to be his own. And he doesn't want her to be his own.
Which you don't find out till much
Yeah,
later.
you
So
don't-
you're
yeah.
left to wonder what his intentions are the
He's
whole
basically
time.
buying her freedom. So
Yes.
he doesn't want to own her like the brothel does, but he doesn't want anybody else to own her. He wants her to be free to do what she wants and live her own life. So in the meantime, while she's contracted to Kaz, he's having her do basically recon for him. She is so, like, she reminds me of like a ninja of sorts because she's so stealthy and she's so sneaky that she can literally come and go without being heard, seen, smelt. Like, she's just so quick about it. So I really liked that about her, but like one of my favorite moments was when she's talking to Kaz and she's like, do you believe that the Sun Summoner is the Sun Summoner? Like, they have this whole heart to heart, and
Yes.
she's like, I believe that she really has this power. And
Yes.
he's like, it's just magic tricks and mirrors and smoke and blah blah blah. And
He was
he's
the skeptic.
he's being very skeptical to her, and she's like, but why can't you just tell me if you believe in it? Like, I want to know if you believe in it, because he has been there for her in some capacity that she appreciates and respects him. So it shows that she really wants to connect with him on a different level, in my opinion. And he won't give her that. He's just very strict on, no, I don't believe what you believe. But when they actually capture, they didn't do anything to capture her, by the way. But when they capture Alina, and they let her out of this box off the carriage, and she comes out and they're all standing there and whatever, like, Inej was the one that was like, go, run. Like, I believe in your power, I believe in who you are, and I will not stop you from leaving us, because I don't believe that you should be captured. I don't believe that this is the right thing for us to be doing. And so Alina does get away and what have you, but like, that to me was amazing, especially later when a lot of other things happen, and they basically are together. They're a team now, the Crows.
Yes.
And Mal and Alina.
Yes, that I was waiting to see how, I was really curious how that was all going to develop, because I felt bad for that storyline almost the whole time. I was like, where is it going? They weren't having any success in anything that they were doing, and there was really no rhyme or reason for a lot of it. They just kept like changing up their game plan. Like, nope, now we're going here and we're going here, but we're still trying to get the Sun Summoner.
Right.
They had like no plan of actually how to get her,
Yeah.
and then they finally get to the point where they're gonna like go in her room and take her, and I'm like, but still, how's that gonna work if she's the Sun Summoner? How are you expecting to get her?
So here were a few questions. Based on everything I read and what we watched, they
Okay.
can manipulate and control these items. So like a wind person can control and manipulate the wind to do what it wants, right?
Okay.
So why, when he cuts Alina open, does the sun come out of her? Why is the sunshine inside of her? Why is that her blood?
No, that only happened because of who it was that cut her. Because don't you remember he was saying that between the two of them, like, he's the opposite of her,
Right.
and he's stronger when she's near and she's stronger when he's near, or whatever. Like, they're like the opposite sides of a coin, so to speak.
Right.
That's why she did, because of he touched her. And that's why when she first displayed her power for everyone, he had to touch her in order to make it happen, because she wasn't able to summon it herself.
Oh, see, but I didn't see him touch her in the tent.
Oh, he
I
did.
just saw him take his little freaking clawy thing and go whoop. Like, I didn't see any other physical.
I swear he touched her.
I just saw doop, doop, doop. Like, that's it. So I was like, how is the sunshine coming out of her when she's just supposed
Yes.
to be able to control
Summon it. Yeah.
or summon or what have you? Like,
I was confused too until it went on to show that it was because
Yeah.
he touched her.
yeah.
So then that made sense later.
Yeah.
But that leads in. Let's lead into some of our favorite moments. This show is a lot about following Alina's journey.
Yeah.
So we're getting to know her as she's getting to know herself. Like, she's not really sure who she is, but she's out there fighting the war just because Mal's there. She just doesn't want to leave Mal. And all we know for sure the whole time is that they don't want to be separated. So they're doing whatever it takes to stay together. And so you learn about them as you go. So at the end of the show, I definitely can say I liked Alina and Mal a lot. I loved that Mal ultimately realized that he didn't see Alina before. And when he had that conversation with her and was like, I'm so sorry it took me so long to see you, but I see you now. That was huge for me. That really kind of cemented, like, oh, I love Mal. This is so awesome. There's character development. He's seeing, you know, and he does see that, like, how much he loves her and cares for her.
See, but that's something that drives me crazy in shows, is like once they become like the center of attention, then the person's like, oh, I love you. And
that did bug me, but I will say,
why did it take her being the sun summoner for you to notice?
But it didn't. He was already running after her, and that's what did it for me. Is he would have been running after her whether she was a sun summoner or not. So he was searching for her and fighting for her regardless.
Right. So like that was what was different about this particular thing, was that before he knew she was, he realized. Or I don't realized how he realized.
He knew how he felt about her. And her being the sun summoner didn't change that.
He needed, like, he wanted to protect her before she was a sun summoner, or before he found out she was, because I guess she always had been. But he didn't, it was more of like a realization of like, he was willing to accept that he loved her.
Yeah.
No, like, not that he didn't know he didn't. It was he knew he did, but he didn't know how to face those realities almost.
Neither did she.
Yeah, neither did she. So now this was like the pivotal moment of, okay, they've taken her, and now I'm pissed, and now I'm realizing the reason I'm pissed is because I've loved her this whole time, and I want her back.
That was so important though, because I think that happens in everyday life where you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Yeah.
And they had always worked so hard to stay together. So when they were finally actually separated, they were like, man, like, we really do love each other and we really don't want to be apart.
Yeah.
But then she, because she was being manipulated by Alexander, was like, hell, I don't need anyone. But that's what I loved about her development too, is she doesn't need anyone. She loved Mal because she loved Mal. It made her it helped her understand, I love Mal. I don't necessarily need him. I want him.
Yeah.
But whereas she thought she needed him before. Some of my favorite moments was with like the Black Heretic, which is Alexander's mom, right? I could not believe that when the time was so close, when her and Alexander were about to consummate this little crush, that they get separated and his mom is like drags Alina out and is like, you got to get the hell out of here. Like, my son is crazy. He just wants to use you for your power. I'm like, this is a trick. This is a trick.
Right.
She's tricking her. What is going to happen? But no, his mom was genuinely turning her back on her son and trying to save Alina's life as Sun Summoner. Was like, don't let my son do what he's about to do. Here's his plan. You know, here's why you can trust me, because I've trained you thus far and I haven't lied to you. You know, you need to go. And that leads into my next favorite moment, which was when Alina comes out and she's trying to sneak out and she sees a carriage and she's like, oh, I'll hide in the carriage. So she goes and she opens the back of the trunk in the back of the carriage and she gets in. Meanwhile, Jesper's over by the tree waiting for the other two who were supposed to kidnap her in the building.
Yeah.
And he's over there like, who is that walking towards the carriage? Because he's standing out there with his guns all ready to go. And he's like, wait, is that her?
Yeah.
And she gets in all by herself.
Yeah.
So he's just like,
he
just
gets
grin on his face.
The smile that he gets, he's all,
like,
I did it without even doing it.
I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So of course when he picks the other two up and
Yeah.
they're like running crazy because everybody's alerted that she's missing.
Yeah.
They're running crazy and he's like, ask me where she is. Like,
so it wasn't actually that she was missing. It was that the conductor had killed her lookalike.
oh, that was that.
So that's what
everybody
was going on.
Everyone was on alert.
So, but she climbed in the back of that, and then the other two, Kaz and Inej, are coming. They're like, we couldn't get her, blah, blah, blah. Jesper's all, oh, don't worry about it. Let's go. Come on.
I know.
Get in. And he, like,
they're
stares at the
they're
box.
like, what? And
Yeah.
they're like, ask me where she is or something like that.
Yes.
Like, ask me. Go. Ask me.
Ask me where she is. Ask me. Do it.
He
And
was
then
just so
He
excited.
looks at the box, and hey, that's right there. She's right there. Let's go. Come on, get up.
Like, we didn't have to do anything. She
Yeah.
came to us.
Yeah, so a couple of my favorite moments, like, I liked a lot of little moments, but, like, my favorite one was when, after everything, like, after Alexander takes control of her power for himself by putting the antlers in her collarbone.
You like that moment?
No.
Oh.
It was after that. But, like, I'm trying to give
okay.
context. So
Okay.
he puts the antler in part of her, which becomes a conduit because then something is on his wrist.
Another
that
piece
connects-
of
yeah.
the deer,
the stag.
The stag.
Yeah, so once they're now connected, he gets full control over Alina's powers, and he gets to use them however he wants. Well, on the ship, that they're taking into the fold, he basically says, I'm going to show everybody my powers, what I'm capable of. He then proceeds to take the fold from, say, right here where it's at, and he extends it out.
Oh, he starts dragging
So
it.
he starts making the fold bigger, and Alina gets worried, pissed off. Everybody on the boat is kind of like, what the H did you just do? Like, this is not what we've signed up for. Well, Alina sees the stag, and I don't know if it's there or if it's just presenting itself to her, but she sees it and she's all, I realize now, it chooses you. It chooses who it wants to give it its power to, not you have, once you take it, you get its power. It's the other way around. It chooses you. And so then it was like something, it all happened so fast, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but basically I think she either cut off Alexander's hand.
She did something like swiped really fast, and it made the thing, because it was in the top of his hand, and whatever she swiped made it like flip out of his hand.
So like now she basically broke the bond that was the conduit holding their powers together, and then she does what she does. Well, then all of a sudden Alexander's captured by a Volcra, and I'm like, yeah, the monsters he created killed him. So I thought that was like a really good end twist.
They weren't just monsters though; they were people.
They were people, yes. But I'm saying like all those people that turned into monsters get their revenge on Kerrigan. Yeah. So I was excited for that moment until I saw the ending, and I was like,
I know.
Well, it opens the door for a season 2, though.
It also explained why Mal could see the stag, because the stag chose to let Mal see him. Yes. Because he was trying to get to Alina.
He was trying to get the stag for Alina, and the stag wanted Alina, so it was like,
so the stag was like, hey, I'm over here,
I'm going to show myself to you because I know what you want me for.
Yep, and I trust, like there was that trust, like he presented himself, so that totally makes sense.
Yep.
So Matthias and Nina. What a complicated thing. So complicated. I'm such a sucker for that shit. Because the psychologist in me is like, honey, you're falling for your captor. Okay? That's your captor. Doesn't matter how cute he is. That dude fucking tortured you and captured you. You're not supposed to fall in love with him, but he's hot. And then you guys had this like moment and you guys fight. You guys have like all this cute banter.
Yeah.
And I love when you guys argue. So I say that whole psychology thing lightly because it was his team of people who kidnapped her, but it was still, he was part of it.
Yeah. He was on the side.
He was on the side of the people who kidnapped her. Then when the ship crashed, it was just her and him. And they were trying to survive. And he hates her kind. She doesn't hate his kind, but you're unsure where her alliances lie. Again, you're unsure like what side she's on, whose side she's on. But I really started to like her. And then, as I saw him, even though he was such a bigot, I really started to like him too. And then when when they got really cold and she was just like, we can keep each other warm, and he's like, I'm never like getting close to you. And she's like, well, my power will keep you warm because she has this power, right?
She's a heart render.
She's a heart render, so she could keep his body warm and her body. But in order to do so, obviously, he has to come where she can touch him. And so that whole little thing was just so cute, and their connection was so cute. So of course I was just like, I want you to fall in love, even though it was like not a good idea. I mean, it was just like a Romeo and Juliet story of like, yeah, this is gonna end badly, but they were so cute together that I just kept on wanting them to get closer and closer. And then ultimately I was pissed when she sacrifices herself or gets him knocked out on purpose so that they can't like take them both to jail. And then sure enough, when he wakes up, she's like there, and he's like tapping on him and stuff, and he's like, you bitch, like you just tricked me. I knew it. I knew like all of these feelings I was having for you was you just tricking me, and this is just what you people do, you Grisha do. And so sure enough, like it ended with him thinking that like she betrayed him and that she was going to do that all along. So so that's, one of those unhealthy relationships that I dig, and I want to see them be together.
Yeah. What was your overall score for the show?
For the show, I give it a 2.5 stars out of 5.
I gave it a 4.
I'm not as intrigued to watch the second season because the way not that the whole storyline ended badly, but the way that they decided to end some of the things and wrap some of the stuff up, I'm like, I'm not so sure I care how their story, some of these stories play out.
Don't you want to know what happens to Inej? Because Kaz gave his bar over to Helene as collateral for Inej's contract.
Right.
So I want to know, they didn't get the Sun Summoner. They're not going to get paid for the job because they didn't bring her back.
Right.
So I want to know what's going to happen to Kaz, Jesper, and Inej, because both Inej and Jesper work for Kaz.
Okay, I want to know what happens with Jesper, but I don't know enough about Kaz to know where the heck...
I'll admit he was creepy in the beginning. I was like, oh, you got a face, man. Like, your face makes you creepy.
They still just need to give me so much more information. Would I watch the second one if our viewers wanted us to watch it? Yeah, I'd watch it. I'd be interested to see, like, more character development for our main characters and to see more fun with Jesper and everything.
Right.
But
if I watched the first episode of the second season and they didn't, like, at least show me a little bit of Jesper, leading me to believe that they wrote him out, I would just stop watching at that episode. I'd be like, nope, he was my favorite. You can't take him away.
Yep.
You took him away. I'm done. I'm not here for this anymore.
Yep, Jesper's the best.
But that's the end of this review. We really hope that you enjoyed it. We really hope that you have some good feedback for us, seeing your comments in the comment section below. And please like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more content.
Yes, like and subscribe. We're so happy to be here and excited to get to do this with you guys. Keep on shining, folks.
Bye.
Bye.